Work order management. So one, this is a work order within the system. Work order to us is no different than an incident or request. It's just another, I mentioned earlier, it's spawned off of the task table. And like I said, we take these work orders in, and this is what facilities works out of. Their ticket's a work order, right? So now I can actually see this work order. I can take advantage of things like lockout, tagout procedures for your safety and security. So we do procedure checklists. So this one actually does have a procedure checklist. So I can process through this. We do have this on mobile as well, by the way, not just in the browser. So I can actually go ahead and submit my checklist for this particular item and complete that. A couple other things I'll mention. Within a work order, we also can log and track costs. We can trigger purchase orders. One of the most common integrations we do is ERP integrations. SAP, Oracle, Lawson, Great Plains, all the above. We've done them all. So that's to manage all of that life cycle of ordering parts, managing the life cycle of ordering services, invoicing. So we have a lot of vendors. A lot of our retail customers have outsourced all of their facilities work to their vendors. So we actually have another pricing model for some of our retail customers that have a lot of locations, and it's a store or location-based pricing model. What's great about that is you can have unlimited vendors accessing the system at no additional cost. And what's the value to our customers in that market is now I can hold them accountable to SLAs. I can actually measure that entire invoicing life cycle. We had a retail customer that literally was saving $2,000 on average per vendor invoice because it had to go through an electronic process rather than a paper invoice that showed up at their door. They actually were able to automate that entire life cycle. Invoice came in from vendor, payment out to their ERP, and cut a check to the vendor. All right, so that's a quick look at a work order. Obviously, we can process that. We can go through that piece. So let's look at a couple other areas I want to touch on while we're here. So one of the other things we do have as well is capital project management. One of our customers actually here, and we've done a lot with it. So capital project management is really around that life cycle of managing a construction project or a renovation project. And I'll just bring this up. The reason we built this, and this does also tie into ServiceNow's project management module as well, but this actually allows me to manage that entire life cycle of a capital project, including all of those key tasks, those traditional project management steps. I can also manage things like financials around that project. So maybe I want to do cost reporting of my project, all the financials related to that project. I can also track cash flow. I can see how my cash flow is doing against this project, against my baseline and my budget. Maybe I want to look at the actual Gantt chart, timeline, how am I doing on my construction? You see I can click in and actually drill into these particular tasks within that entire project plan of building out an entire construction project. So this is another one of our functionalities around that capital project. Again, managing that full life cycle of construction. That's what we're doing here within this module. Acquisition cost. How much did I pay for this asset? That comes from your ERP. Depreciation of the asset, we typically also bring in, so current book value of the asset we bring in as well. Labor costs, parts costs, service contract costs, we track that within Nuvolo because those are operational costs that are happening against that asset, right? So you have someone putting labor against working on this piece of equipment. We have labor rates as part of our product that auto-calculates that cost back to the asset. Same with parts. We auto-track the cost of parts back to the asset. Service contracts, if it's under contract, we actually track that cost against the asset as well. And lastly, we have a total cost of ownership that allows you to actually see how much did this asset cost you over its entire life cycle? One of the number one things we hear from our customers is how do I do a better job of capital planning? In some cases, we're talking about multi-million-dollar assets. How do I make sure that I'm getting the most life out of these assets? Which one, if I have to go buy a new asset, which one should I buy? Now I can give you real data that says carrier versus train. Which one performs better? Which one costs me more over its lifespan? This is data points we use to be able to show that against an asset. But anybody that has a lot of field technicians out in the field, I can geofence and decide, based on my routing rules, where's that work going to, right? So I can actually dispatch that out. And by the way, this is another reason why I recommend these retail customers bring their vendors into the system, because I can even dispatch that work out to them based on not only where they are, but also skills. We do skills and skills tracking and certification tracking as well. So what are they skilled in? What are they certified in? Maybe they have to have a certification like, for example, the EPA regulates, food stores. They actually have to be EPA certified to be able to actually maintain their refrigeration units. So I can track those kind of certifications and mandate that they have that before they can even perform that work. So we do track that as well.